Danny, come back. You can blame it all on me.
No black cats, just straight facts.
Triple P certified.
Listen, we can talk about odds all day. It doesn't matter what the odds are. It matters what's gonna happen.
Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to the Perk Play Pursuit. It is Alex and I coming off of an 8 out of 10 double P certified weekend. 8 out of 10 of the picks that we agreed on cashed for you fine folks. 80% accuracy between the two of us last week's card on double P certified picks. What a weekend. I won some money. We'll talk through it. Overall, not a very entertaining card. Back-to-back weekends, maybe 3 in a row now, where we're talking like an 80% decision rate across these fights. Overall, didn't really enjoy the card, especially the co-main and main event. Didn't really find them all that exciting from a sports entertainment standpoint. But I did place a couple little bets here. We'll talk through it. Alex, did you watch the fights?
I watched the fights as much as I could. They were boring the hell out of me for the most part, but there were a couple of shining stars on the card that did pretty well that I appreciated their performances.
Yo, the Prestige, our fine two-fingered friend, is here. Glad you had a good weekend. Let us know the details as we go along. But we, my picks, Usman, Tagir, Segula, Mullins, Park. First 5 in a row cash for me. And what a triumphant and amazing effort from both Usman, but overshadowed completely by Park. I mean, Jung Young Park. What a guy. Let me tell you guys something. 2 years ago, I baptized my firstborn child, my daughter. On that card was Jung Young Park versus Eric Anders. That was the closest fight. The nod went to Jung Young Park. He was on my parlay, a parlay which I won about $700. Now, that $700, it paid for the entire Italian catering for my daughter's party. It felt to me like a blessing, like a gift from a guardian angel, like one of my dead ancestors who lost so much money at the casinos smiled upon me that day and were there to contribute to the party and were there to be there in spirit. I was able to pay for my daughter's entire party with that money that Jung Young Park helped me win. Now, fast forward. Last weekend, my son, my second-born child, baptized. And that happens on Sunday, the Saturday before Who Fights but Jung Young Park. And I say, and I have him on parlays, and I say, it is only destiny that Jung Young Park do it again. That Jung Young Park, the Iron Turtle, honor my family again. And he did. He honored his family. He honored his legacy for centuries to come. I will speak highly and kindly of Mr. Jung Young Park for the rest of my days, because to be fouled egregiously, poked in the eyes, kneed in the head, cut, to be given every way out that would have led to a disqualification victory. Jung Young Park fights on. Jung Young Park fights on. Jung Young Park wins dominantly, is able to secure ground and pound the back, go for submissions, domination the whole third round. Absolutely crush his opponent. Did it with one eye. Did it with a severe cut. Did it in the face of doctors, Azerbaijani officials, the ref. He fought on. Jung Young Park, this bud's for you, Jung Young. I love it. And that was the performance of the night for me. Oban Elliott, I'll let you talk in a second, Alex, but just let me get through my card real quick. Oban Elliott, biggest disappointment of the night for me. Absolutely fumbled the bag, fumbled the ball. I kind of thought, about giving a look at his opponent right before the fight started, because guy looked in shape, guy looked ready to go. And those are dangerous guys coming in the UFC in another country, right? It's kind of neutral territory there. But then so that was my first loss of the night. Then 3 in a row, Naimov, Sajikov, oral bye. Took a chance on Kunaev, and he took it to split decision. I personally thought he won that fight. Would have really made my night a hell of a lot better if he did. It is what it is. I knew once they didn't give him the decision and the crowd had their reaction that Fiziev was going to win no matter what. And I didn't think Fiziev won, to be honest with you guys. They said he won every round. Every round, I was kind of like, I don't know who won that round. Wouldn't be surprised if it was Bahamundas. I don't know who won that round. Wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to Iggy. But they gave it to Fiziev every time. By the end of it, I was kind of like, all right, I guess I thought Fiziev was going to win because Kunaev didn't win, and they couldn't leave the crowd that upset, and they wanted to actually make them happy. I really thought that no matter if it was somewhat close, because he was getting the nod no matter what. I did parlay him. I did bet on him. I was happy that he got the win. That set me up to be in a position to hedge out or cash out. So I only bet $100 out on the night. I deposited $100 in my FanDuel account, cash. I did my little. I was awarded a $500 free bet from FanDuel. I, up until this point, believed that if FanDuel awards you a $500 free bet, you can only place the $500 free bet. What I learned is that if you enter the amount that you want to bet into your, wager bar thing, the free bet thing, I don't know if this is a new user experience that they engineered, will change. It'll offer you the opportunity to bet less than the $500 free bet and utilize the free bet amount towards your bet. So when I was sitting there, I go, oh wait, I can bet. I could bet any. So I used all $500 throughout of the free bets throughout the night on various parlays and single bets and things like that. The first part, I used a $100 free bet on Segulia. I did that live. I did that after the first punch was thrown. I was like, she's definitely going to win. I picked her, but she's definitely going to win. She was still an underdog. Turned a $100 free bet into $138 cold hard cash. So it would have been $238, if I bet my own cash. But then I also won some money on Blades. I bet Blades live as kind of a hedge position, $50 to win $232.50. So that was a hedge play. I won back pretty much everything and more that I would have lost if I would have won. And then I also bet Fazeev by points, 32 to win 130. And then I bet Fazeev by knockout 100 for 490. So that was a hedge. That was if Fazeev knocks him out, I win 390. If he wins by decision, I break even on the knockout bet, basically, right? But I also had Fazeev in a parlay that contained Usman, Naimov, Fazeev, and Hill. Usman wins, Naimov wins, Fazeev wins. He wins by points. And then the bet was $50 to win $731.24. Now, the last leg of that 4-leg parlay, Usman, Naimov, Fazeev, was Hill. So I bet on Roundtree pretty much live during round one. The line hadn't moved that much. I bet 130 to win 246 on Roundtree. So it was $116 payout if Roundtree won, or it would have been a $600 payout if Hill won. So that's where I was at. I was either going to win 130 or 116, or I was going to win 600. And I thought that was a pretty good place to be going into the main event. I wasn't that confident that Roundtree was going to win, and I was just happy to be able to come away with some profit if Roundtree won, not lose any money, or win big if Hill won, who was my true pick. I could have cashed out for about 300, so the middle ground there, I could have split the difference. I didn't. I decided to weigh it more, leverage myself more towards Hill. All good. Live to fight another day. Not the best performance from either guy. Once I saw the leg kicks, that's when I really decided to make the live decision to hedge. So that was my night. How about you, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't gamble on the card. I did pretty well on picks. Only missed on Hill and the ladies' fights, I believe, as well as Yvonne Elliott. But yeah, other than that, I went unblemished on the evening, apart from Jamal Hill. It was a decent card. Nothing really jumped off the page. I mean, besides knockdowns via leg kick in the main event of the evening, there was not really much swinging and banging except for Nazim Sajikov. Amazing performance, amazing fight, fought through adversity. That was the most exciting fight of the night. They got all of the bonuses.
I saw that. That was one of the fights I missed. I had to step out to pick up a cake for the party the next day. So what happened? I know Sajikov knocked him out.
Yeah,
I heard he got dropped, and there were 100 punches thrown in the round alone. So, yeah, I got to go back and watch that fight.
It was just pure chaos, chaotic fight.
Sometimes so much in fights, I think if I make a decision to assist my wife or children and sacrifice watching one of the fights, good things will happen to me. So sometimes I'll allow that, and I'll do that, and I'll be like, man, look how good of a guy I am. My karma is so good right now. God's definitely going to reward me. And he did kind of. I mean, I wanted more, I wanted more blessings poured out into my heavenly cup, but it's okay because God has a plan, and I trust God's plan. And He kept me afloat, and He gave me, and you know what? He gave me a bullet for next weekend, and I'm thinking that this is going to be a big score this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if I was gambling this weekend, I feel like I would do pretty well. It's an exciting card, big card, the biggest card of the year, International Fight Week. Can't wait to break it down.
I'm currently running a 14-legger. I have 6 left. $5 for $21.81. Picks left are Topuria, Pantoja, RoboCop. You got a long way to go. I wouldn't cash out for $101. What I would do is I would look at your 6 legs left, and I would say, who's going to fuck this up for me? And I'd rebuild the exact same parlay with the opposite person that you think is going to. But you don't like them all. So it's a math problem. You know. I would say it's a math problem, but not financial advice. Math is the golden key. Through math, everything can be solved. You can just go, okay, just sim it out, right? Look at, it also depends how many favorites do you have left on that parlay, right? So then I would also look at like, okay, if you have a big underdog on the parlay, that's what you got to get through because you can't hedge out on that person, really, But if every fight is kind of evenly lined, you could look at it like I have $2,100 if this thing hits. So if I'm betting against every single one of those 6 legs as we go, like Charles Oliveira is a gigantic underdog. You don't need to bet that much to win a lot on him, and you also don't cut into your $2,100 profit. See what I'm saying? So the more legs you bet on, the more money you have to hedge on the legs, and it's obviously best to hedge on the biggest underdogs because then you can chip away at your potential winnings least. So it's a math problem. Okay, so let's go. We're gonna go through UFC 317. The card I'm most excited for. Ilia Topuria has become my favorite fighter. I've been saying it for a very long time. We did 2 years ago. We did on the show a draft, which was like kind of a fantasy football style draft of who we wanted to like have on our team. And my featherweight pick was Ilia Topuria. This was way before anybody was, touting him as the next champion. I saw something in him. I loved his style. I thought, you got a guy who is tough as shit, rock solid mentality, can box and wrestle. What's going to go wrong? And started out his career submitting motherfuckers. So I love Ilia Topuria. I bet on him to knock out Volk. I bet on him to knock out Max. I've picked it for every one of his fights. So let's get into the card. I'm very excited to watch this card. Anything else we need to say about last week's card, Alex?
I don't think so. Khalil Roundtree, great performance. I feel like he really outclassed Jamal Hill. Just showed levels to striking, and Jamal Hill was just looking for one punch the whole time and wasn't able to get it.
I was really blown away. I mean, I just thought that Jamal Hill was had better cardio and had better boxing, and I wasn't blown away. I was just like, man, like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm torn. I'm torn on the fight. But this card was supposed to have Paulo Costa versus Roman Kopylov. That belt has been rescheduled. This card was supposed to have Manel Kape versus Brandon Royval. Kape pulled out with a foot injury. This fight was supposed to have Yonata Deniz versus Justin Tafa. Tafa withdrew.
Smart move.
Very smart move. But I would have definitely backed up the brake truck on Yonata Deniz in that fight by submission for the 3rd time. I took Walter Walker to beat Tafa by submission, and then in his most recent fight, I believe who did I?
But Deniz is glory kickboxer. You think he's gonna get a submission? I mean, against Tafa.
No, I was thinking of the other Tafa actually. But no, I did take Taliesin Teixeira to fuck up this Tafa too. Not high on the top for brothers here, personally. But all right, so Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. Nico Price versus Jacoby Smith. Kobe Smith, minus 1,400 favorite. 6 years younger at 170 pounds. 35-year-old Nico Price is coming in here. 2 inches of height advantage, 4 inches of reach advantage. He's coming off that decision loss 8 months ago to Themba Gorimbo. Before that, he beat Alex Morono by decision. Before that, he got knocked out by Robbie Lawler, knocked out by Phil Rowe, and has only put up 5 fights in the last 4 years. Nico Price, to me, is a more attractive bet than minus 1,400 Jacoby Smith. I'll tell you that much. Jacoby Smith is 10-0. He knocked out Pressure Preston Parsons in his UFC debut 5 months ago. He knocked his way out into the UFC off the Contender Series. I do think Jacoby Smith is the real deal. I do think he's going to win. But it's a no bet for me. I mean, you can't really. I don't think that there's a bettable play. I mean, does Jacoby Smith win by knockout? Does Jacoby Smith win by submission?
I wouldn't be opposed to taking him by submission. He's an Oklahoma State wrestler, wrestled in college. I'm pretty sure he even won a national championship. I know he won 2
last 4 fights, all knockouts. You know how these wrestlers.
Yeah, it happens, but I feel like he'll fall back on it if he needs to. A club and sub has potential. Nico Price does get knocked out in comedic fashion quite a bit, but I think that there is a way that Jacoby Smith could walk away with a submission here. I wouldn't be too shocked, but he's never gotten a submission before, so don't know where this wild hair of my ass is coming from, but I also picked Sadiq Youssef to get his first ever submission, and he has a lot less grappling pedigree than Jacoby Smith.
Yeah, I think it sooner comes by knockout than submission, but I'm down for Jacoby Smith by finish. I imagine the line is minus 200. Nico Price is a weathered, yes, but a veteran. It's a tale as old as time that something strange could happen here. But I'm going with Jacoby Smith. It'd be one of the bigger bag fumbles, one of the bigger opportunities squandered of recent memory. If he loses this, it would be reminiscent of Peyton Talbot, who fights later in his last fight. So let's get into it. We're both going with Smith, but there's more interesting lines to bet, I think. We got Yonata Deniz versus Alvin Hines. Alvin Hines making his UFC debut. He is off the LFA circuit. Fought 2 months ago and knocked out Billy Ray Valdez with a high kick. He is coming in plus 165. He's a year younger. He is 260 to Deniz's last weigh-in, 253. 2 inches shorter, 5.5 inches of reach disadvantage here. Coming in on short notice, but coming in off a quick turnaround 2 months ago, having fought. It looks like when you look at his opponent's record for a 7-0 guy, he fought a 3-0 guy, a 2-1 guy, a 3-4 guy, and a 2-0 guy, and a 4-1 guy. So he's getting matched up with good competition. He looks like he has no fucking neck at all. If I'm looking at these Tapology pictures, I go, guy on the right is going to win. So I'm going to take a shot on the underdog newcomer, Alvin Hines. More to win, less to lose. Deniz fought well against Tybura, but not well enough. He got battered, bludgeoned, bullied in there, and he got a knockout off the Contender Series against a 7-1 guy. He beat Austin Lane, and he beat Carl Williams. So Carl Williams is good, but Marcin Tybura is 25-9. He got beat by him 7 months ago. I don't know too much about Alvin Hines, but I'm willing to take a shot on him at plus 165.
Yeah, I mean, it is tempting for sure. He does have a couple submission victories, and Deniz is very unpolished in the grappling realm. Have to worry about that. Don't know too much on this guy. Gonna bet Deniz, though, just because he's got some serious stopping power. I know all the heavyweights kind of do, but he's very, very technical, and I think he's going to find his way into a knockout in this one.
I've just seen this too many times where these Brazilian guys do this. Like they aren't as good as advertised as of late. I don't know. All right. So Jackson McVeigh taking on Cedricus Dumas. I look at this as a punishment fight. What do you think?
Punishment for what?
Well, I think that they've tried to book Cedricus Dumas on some cards, and I don't think he's the easiest guy to work with. I think that it's hard to get him to fight in certain places, and he is in and out of alleged legal trouble here and there. So I think that bad for headlines. Not that good. He's got John Jones style antics with not John Jones style results. So I don't think the UFC gives a fuck. I think he's destined for Game Bread FC or what's the other one? Dirty Boxing. And yeah, I think that he's not long for this UFC world. And they brought McKeevy in here to fucking knock his ass out. So I'm taking McKeevy by fucking knockout.
Yeah, and not to mention Cedricus Dumas doesn't necessarily have like the most well-rounded game in the world. Not very good with the grappling. I know that he, absolutely demolished Cody Brundage, one of the PvP goats, Cody Brundage, with his grappling. But I don't think he's going to have that advantage against McVeigh. Give me Jackson McVeigh.
Beautiful. We got Vladislav Borshev taking on Terrence McKinney. Let's see something. Hold on. Okay, so Vladislav Borshev, Terrence McKinney. Take everybody through our history with Terrence real quick. I'm gonna run and grab another drink. I'll be right back.
Terrence McKinney used to be friend of the show, no longer friend of the show. We invited him on the podcast. He bailed on the podcast, blew up, tale as old as time, goes Hollywood on us, pretends that he's trying to join every time, saying his phone doesn't work, doesn't know how to operate a simple StreamYard, Google Chrome extension. The guy's all oatmeal north of the eyebrows. We're not big fans of him here. He turned on us. He's a turncoat. He was cool. And Luke put a lot of effort into an edit for Terrence McKinney. I don't actually think Luke made it. He might have just found it online. Made it as a drop. Had a bunch of theatrics planned, and Terrence blew it both times. While he was at his hottest, undefeated in the UFC, very, very quick knockouts, very quick finishes. And then, gets knocked out by Drew Dober. Beats Eric Gonzalez, gets finished 2 fights in a row, Nazim Sadikov and Israel Bonfim. And, since then he's been kind of back on the up and up, but still his career's gone south. Learn one thing. Once you go bad on the PPP boys, your career goes bad as well. So you don't want to turn on us. Think of Anthony Smith. Think of Terrence McKinney. I could go on all day. Curtis Blades. No, not Curtis Blades. Chris Curtis. Huh?
Chris Curtis, yeah. Hamdi Abdelwalibi.
Hamdi Abdelwal Habibi. Multiple fighters who have gone bad on us, and then their careers went to shit. Anyhow,
Macy Chiasson.
I wasn't going to say that.
She was going to come on the show. She canceled on us twice and then lost her fight. So
you said it, not me. I'm going to go with Vladislav Borshev here. He's never been knocked out. Terrence McKinney's most common path to victory is the knockout. He's got some pretty decent wrestling and some good jiu-jitsu, but and Borshev doesn't necessarily have the best takedown defense in the world. I'm kind of talking myself into Terrence McKinney, but I'm going with Borshev.
No, let me talk you out of it.
Some things are bigger than sports. I'm going for Borshev. I hate rules all, and I hate Terrence McKinney, so I'm going with Borshev.
you want to think that Terrence McKinney's like going to tower over Borashev, but they're the same height pretty much. Borashev's actually an inch taller. He is going to have a 4.5-inch reach advantage, but Borashev is like a kickboxer, so I don't know that that's going to matter as much. And I find Terrence McKinney, he kind of leaves a lot of openings. I think he got away with a lot in his successful fights. But, you know, he's been exposed in fights where, like, the guys are not afraid of the blitz, or I think a lot of guys he catches with knockouts, they're kind of like worried about the wrestling, they're worried about the grappling, and then he comes in and they're kind of, you know, they're already thinking about the takedown, and then he gets him with these blitzes of you know, strikes. He's got, I mean, both these guys, you got to think, right? 16-7 versus 8-5. The watchword here is inconsistent. I think it would be an absolute death knell for Terrence McKinney's career to lose this fight at 30 years old. I think it would be very bad for him. You got Team Alpha Male Borashev. I mean, he's going to come in prepared, but part of me thinks that if Chase Hooper was able to exploit the grappling, Terrence McKinney definitely can. The only question is, will he? You know, will he? And will he have the cardio to do so? I got to believe he will. I'm going Terrence McKinney. If he was lying like Jacoby Smith, I would not be going with Terrence McKinney. But I think at this line, in this situation, it's a death knell. Really, this is like a loser leaves town match in a lot of ways. It's like a
3-4-1 in the UFC for Borashev and 6-4 for Terrence McKinney.
Yeah, Terrence is the better fighter. Terrence is more gifted. Terrence, you know, he's younger. I don't think he probably has to. I don't think he works as hard as Borashev, but I think that he is just quicker. He's better at the things Borashev can't control, and he's better at wrestling. So the number one thing I think is going to be the wrestling, and I think he can scoop Borashev up any moment. The only problem is, will he have 3 rounds of cardio? Listen, if this has been the problem with him this whole time, this is what the coaches need to be working on. He's with a professional gym. Last I checked, he was training with Kevin Holland. So,
and they were smoking weed on the mat.
But apparently now he's with Jacare Souza's gym, and Torres Finney's gym, and Phil Rowe's gym, and you know, a lot of other guys. So I think that I'm going to want to take a look at the weigh-ins. I'm going to want to take a look at how they enter the ring. It's going to tell me more about who I want to bet. But in a perfect world, I think Terrence McKinney makes this look easy. If Chase Hooper could, I think Terrence McKinney could. And I'd like to see Chase Hooper versus Terrence McKinney. That would be a fight I would really, 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 really love to see. Just calibrate both of them. Let's calibrate them both. All right. Alex going with Borashev. I'm going with McKinney. Viviane Araujo. Our pleasure.
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, guys, like the stream chat. There's 6 people. There's 6 people here. I want to see 6 likes. I don't know where to find the likes, but I want to see them later. When you like the video, it helps it get out to the algorithm, and when you tap the notification bell, it'll let you know when we go live. We're gonna do like a membership thing too. I saw the membership. I think we got to do sort of like we got to really just get off the Patreon and get right into the YouTube world. I think that's a better portal for folks. Viviane Araujo, Tracy Cortez, I see her on the podcast. I saw her against Rose a year ago, and I've only seen her in the podcast since.
Hanging out with Neon and Sneeko. And
she's hanging out with Rampage Jackson. She's hanging out with Theo Vaughn. Livy Araujo for me. Dogger pass. Wait, she's 38 years old. Holy shit. Tracy Cortez.
She's 38 years old, but she's coming off of that win against Karen Silva, highly touted prospect in the UFC. Before that, lost to Natalia Silva, and then beat up on Jennifer Maia before that. I'm a huge Jennifer Maia guy. I think that the caliber of opponent that BB Arujo has faced is far higher than Tracy Cortez. You know, we used to say women age like wine, or men age like wine, women age like milk. But upon further review, Luke told me that women actually start gaining testosterone as they get older. So, you know, maybe that flipped the whole theory on its head. We're going with BB Arujo here. Classic dogger pass situation. I can't roll with Tracy Cortez in good faith after seeing the whole press tour that she's been on with Neon and Sneeko and Rampage and Bear DiGiulio. You know, can't endorse her right now in good faith. But next up, we got Hyder Emil versus Jose Delgado. Don't know too much about Jose Delgado. I know he beat up on Connor Matthews pretty recently, finished him in the first round. But Hyder Emil, you know, I feel like he's this guy. He gets slept on every single fight, and he performs above where the, you know, odds makers put faith into him. Let's see here. He's a plus 180 underdog against William Gomes, cashes. Plus 155 against Jiang Yang Lee, cashes. Plus 165 against Fernie Garcia, cashes. The last time he was favored was when he was on the Contender Series. So
You invest odds?
no, that's just on Tapology.
Oh.
Closing line, I'd imagine. I'm sure you could have got him at, you know, a bunch of different odds at the time. But I'm going with Hyder Emil here. I just feel like you got to reward good behavior. Like I said, knocking out Connor Matthews isn't the most impressive thing in the world. He's from the New England Cartel, not a very good camp. Had 3 fights in the UFC, got finished in all of them. I'm going with Hyder Emil in this fight. I just think his experience is there. He's better. I think the world of William Gomes. I think William Gomes is really good. And, you know, I did kind of think he won that fight. But if you're having a close enough fight with William Gomes to get a split decision win, I think you can take care of Jose Delgado. Luke.
I agree. I just think that this guy's path to victory over his last few fights has been knockout. Hyder Emil is a really excellent, competent striker. And, I mean, good calibration fight for both of them. Hyder Emil, you don't see a lot of success at 35 years old at this weight class. He's 27, so it's going to be one of those things where you see, like, is Hyder Emil going to, you know, the thing that keeps me going is I don't think Jose Delgado is fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, could Hyder Emil lose to somebody who?
But William Gomes is fast. You know?
That's what I'm saying. Delgado's not as fast as Gomes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the world of Gomes. That win, you know, although I didn't think he won when I watched it at the time, I never rewatched that fight. You know, that's still impressive nonetheless. If you make it so close that, and I'm pretty sure that was in France, so even with the home cooking, you were able to take it away. Maybe that wasn't France. Maybe it was in England. But still, you know, Europe.
Yeah, this is great. This is great. Hyder Emil, underdog.
All right, next up, Jack Hermanson versus Gregory Rodriguez. Luke, what do you think about this one?
The Prestige, you said that you thought Rodriguez was going to lose. It'd be a turnaround thing for me. 4 months ago, Jared Cannonier, you know, a fight that takes days off your life. But I'm not afraid of Jack Hermanson. 37 years old, hasn't fought in a year and a half. It's really interesting, right? It's like you got a guy who hasn't fought in a year and a half, but won his last fight, and a guy who fought 4 months ago in a blood and guts war that took days off his life. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, It really does depend on the recovery here, but I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez. I'm going to assume that he wouldn't be in there if he wasn't ready to fight or perform. And I know fighters are stubborn and can sometimes get in their own way in that sense, but I'm going to take it at face value. I'm going to go with Gregory Rodriguez on this one. I think that Gregory Rodriguez will have a better time with Jack Hermansson than Joe Pyfer. I think that Gregory Rodriguez knows how to throw better combinations than Joe Pyfer, has similar power, and also has great ground game.
I'd say more power.
You know, you said that, not me. You don't want Joe Pyfer.
A little contradicting, Andrew. So you said Jack, love RoboCop. Which is it?
Alex. Just because you're picking somebody to win doesn't mean you like him. But I'm going with Gregory Rodriguez. I think that he's going to have Dan is better than both of these two poses. I agree. I
don't agree, and I'll tell you why I don't agree. So when I showed up to my college campus, I met Dan, and it was a couple of years before I really beat him down enough with my UFC watching and fandom that he even started to pay attention a little bit. And he slowly got into it. And the first card that Dan bought was McGregor Diaz 2. Not even McGregor Diaz 1. So, and I watched that at his house. His mother was a great host. I believe you were there too, Alex.
I believe I might have been.
Well, if you've ever been to Dan's house, I would assume it would have been for that. His childhood.
I've been there more than once, okay? Visited you in New York.
Okay. Well, I'm talking about Dan's house in Jersey. Anyway,
I'm talking about that as well.
Okay, either way. So Dan, I got him in. I shepherded him into this. And while over the last 5 years, yes, he's watched every single fight, and he's even gone back and watched fights in the archives. And I applaud Dan. He's not a casual. He is a hardcore fan. But Dan also, last year, in year 5, started out with his $1,000 bankroll, and that bankroll was never above $1,000 from the first event of the year. So while Dan has good picks, and while Dan is a hardcore fan, and probably more of a hardcore fan than a lot of the people watching, he's not as hardcore a fan of me. My first pay-per-view I purchased was Matt Serra versus George St. Pierre 2. I was in 6th grade. Alex was even younger than that. He was in 2nd grade at that point. So we have been fans for a long time. There's really nobody on this earth who knows more about the UFC than us. Alex and I would say equally. And there's really nobody and I truly believe this, there's nobody I've ever met in my entire life, ever, besides Alex, and maybe now Dan, which is why this is so hard for me, Godson Jarve, which I really do believe is just Dan on a burner account. But let's assume it's a Daniac. Nobody misses Dan more than me. He's the only other person besides my own flesh and blood right here sitting next to me that I can even talk about this with that would even understand. I've never, ever, and I've trained jiu-jitsu at the best jiu-jitsu gyms in the entire world. I've trained jiu-jitsu at many jiu-jitsu gyms. And I've gone into UFC gyms. I've gone into places. I've literally spoken with folks who claim to be big UFC fans. And within a few minutes, I'm like, they don't even know who Yanata Deniz is. I'm like, he's never even heard, sometimes it's even more egregious. Sometimes it's I'll be Chris Weidman, or I'll be and they'll be or I'll be Pat. One time a guy didn't know who Patty the Batty was. He said he likes UFC. I was like, that's crazy. I'm like, I don't even know how you got here. What group did you come in from? Because you're either coming in hardcore, and of course you know who Patty the Batty is, or you're coming in casual, and of course you know who Patty the Batty is. So where did you sneak in? I need to know for my marketing funnels. But anyway, so yeah, nobody misses Dan more than us. And I do have word from Dan. He said that so I spoke with him and we talked for about an hour, and it was about 30 minutes before the show even got brought up. And I said, and he brought it up. He said, so how your bet's been doing? And I said, Dan, you wouldn't want to know anything about that. You're taking a break. You need this break. You said this, you need a break. So you don't want to hear anything about this. And he knew I was being cheeky, and he's kind of come on. And I'm like, well, I'm like, let me ask you, have you been betting? And he's like, I did a couple weekends. I didn't last weekend. He's like, I watched a couple handicapper videos. I'm like, and you were watching the fights, right? He's like, I was watching the fights a little bit. I'm like, okay, so you just needed a break from the show? Like, you don't need, you're still watching UFC. You're still betting on UFC. You're still watching other handicappers. I go, so I'm like, that's like when a girl tells you, like, it's nothing to do with you. I just don't want to be in a relationship right now. I don't want a boyfriend. I don't want to date anybody. I just need some time for me. And then you see her on a date.
Yeah, heartbreaking
The
stuff.
only thing worse would be if he was doing another podcast.
You weren't
That
good.
would be, I mean, honestly, I would be happier. I'd be like, cool, you go out, you know, but it would still be a pretty weird betrayal. So anyway, he said he expects to return to the show and he misses the show. That was where we left it. He said, I will come back and I do miss it. Those were the two important things that I heard. So there you guys go. That's your
I
dad.
will not. What he didn't hear is not come back and don't miss it.
No. He, trust me, guys. Dan misses it, and at this point, I mean, he needs it. He needs to be here. I believe he. But you know, one thing he did say, because I joked around. I said, you know, Dan, well, he's like, I'll be back maybe in about a month, and I said, if we don't replace you by then, and he was like, replace me. He's like, who would be that committed? He's like, who would do the show every week, every single Monday? And I go, apparently not you. I'm like, and he goes, I did it for 5 years. And I was like, I mean, you have to give that to him.
You do. Some people can't show up once. Terrence McKinney being one of them. Hamdi Abdelawal.
Chayasin. And it's Macy Chayasin from now on. For me. Gregory Rodriguez is my pick, and I think he sleeps him.
Likewise.
Peyton Talbot, Felipe Lima. Take it
Can
away.
I take this one away and then fill my water up?
Please.
Okay. Peyton Talbot versus Felipe Lima, the Jungle Boy. I mean, guys, I think I got to go with Peyton Talbot here. I know that, last time I saw him, and listen, guys, I saw a lot more of him than I wanted to. Okay, he was in some Frank Ocean video. I end up seeing his rear. I don't like seeing that type of stuff. Okay, that's too much gore for me, Luke. That's NSFW. Okay, I can't be seeing man ass on my.
Well, I don't watch music. That's why I don't watch music videos, right? I want the song to be up to my interpretation. So I would just listen to Frank Ocean with headphones on in a bath with candles lit.
Well, now your interpretation is him and Peyton Talbot are in bathtubs with candles. So, I had to see it. ESPN MMA was sitting here covering it, showing man.
I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. And as a man who loves novelty, there's no telling that I wouldn't make the exact same choice and get in that bathtub with Frank. I'm not saying anything else would happen, but who might take a bath with the voice of a generation?
That's why they put in rappers in dresses, in bathtubs. They try
Shout out to Mr. Cheeks. Shout out to Mr. Cheeks. Old school rappers. I still think they would respect Frank Ocean. I still think if I talked to Mr. Cheeks, I played him some Frank, he would be like, it's undeniable.
Frank Ocean has some good music. I'm not gonna front, but I didn't need to see UFC fighters.
What is it? Pink what? Pink. What's his song? It's like Pink something. Pink Theory, Pink. Frank Ocean.
I don't know.
Not Pink Pony Club.
No.
Pink and White by Frank Ocean. I don't know why that song's in my head, but apparently it must be good because I apparently like it. I don't even know what it sounds like, but I just remember I like that one Frank Ocean song from 2016.
Yeah. He's got some great songs, but Peyton Talbot is gonna win this one. I think that people are kind of sleeping on how good Honey Baloney is. I think this is a good buy Peyton Talbot while he's low, sell him high.
Ooh, he's an underdog, eh?
Yeah, he's an underdog here. I think this is a great spot to take him. I think he goes out there and beats Felipe Lima. Peyton Talbot's super talented, very dynamic striking. Felipe Lima does have a little bit of wrestling, has a little bit of jiu-jitsu, but I just think Peyton Talbot is going to be able to out muscle him, be bigger, stronger, just the bigger man in there. And he's going to be able to get this one done. Give me Peyton Talbot.
Any of size.
No way. I'm not buying what you're selling. I'm going with Felipe Lima. Fought better guys, beat better guys. If he can do that, if he can beat Muhammad Naimov, shit, take my money. Felipe Lima's a beast. Jungle Boy is a beast. He's all fucking man. He's from the fucking Amazon. He's going to beat the shit out of Peyton Talbot. He's going to make people forget who the fuck Peyton Talbot ever even was. We're going to think of Peyton Talbot like we think of Jordan Leavitt. We're going to think of Peyton Talbot like we think of Terrence McKinney. Worse. He is going to fuck up Peyton Talbot. It's going to be bad. He doesn't care about his cerebral striking. He doesn't care that Peyton Talbot thinks he's in the fucking Matrix. He just is going to go in there, close the distance, put his fucking fist on Peyton Talbot's face, and Peyton is going to go down, and he's going to follow up with left-handed ground and pound while Peyton is turtled up, and he is going to leave him sleeping on the canvas. He's going to leave him crying on the canvas, pool of his own blood. Felipe Lima is my pick. That was the wrong one. I didn't mean to play that one. I don't have a drop for him, actually. So, what do you guys think in the chat? Felipe Lima? What do we think about Peyton Talbot? Are we over it? I mean, that was a piss poor performance against Tony Baloney. You don't think Felipe Lima knows a takedown or two? You don't think Felipe Lima is going to come in here 5'6", all fucking muscle, strong as shit? Alex said Peyton Talbot's going to be the bigger man. Yeah, he's a string bean. He's supple. He's not hard, you know? Felipe Lima is hard. Peyton Talbot is soft and supple and built like a fucking eel compared to Felipe Lima. So, look, I think Peyton Talbot has some good skills, but those skills are kind of like Sugar Sean O'Malley's skills. And I almost think secret's out on him and until he can correct that deficit. Because if people can take you down, they're not afraid of that striking. And if it's only when you have that Israel Adesanya effect, when Derek Brunson, remember when Derek Brunson shoots in on a takedown, he spins him off the cage and he bop, bop. And Brunson has that look of, what the fuck? I am fucked. That's what Peyton Talbot needs to do. He needs to go train with Israel Adesanya. He needs to go to fucking City Kickboxing. He needs to harden up. He needs to fucking get jacked and be able to defend a fucking takedown. And he fought 5 months ago. He couldn't defend a takedown. There's no way in hell. 5 months to the day. I can't believe I was actually right about that. But yeah, my time is good time. Do not get suckered in. And look, Alex said buy low, sell high. That's why they did it. That's why they did it, because because Johnny the Greek is gonna come on there and be like, this guy wasn't. And I love Johnny. I love Johnny. I'm gonna do a nice impression. He's gonna say, this guy was a minus 1,600 favorite in his last fight. You're getting him at plus odds. That's what you call the market being fearful. And when the market is fearful, we are greedy. You gotta buy the what does he say? It's an overcorrection, and you gotta buy that overcorrection. But then Johnny the Greek 6 weeks later will tell you, don't buck the trend. And the trend is, and this is true, amongst lobsters. Shout out to Jordan Peterson, who I hate.
Alcohol's pretty good.
But Jordan Peterson said,
alcohol's pretty good.
He said that, but he also said, when two lobsters fight and they duel off, the lobster who loses is exponentially more likely to lose his next match. Spiral up, spiral down. And Peyton Talbot only 4 months ago faced his first loss and has not been able, and no matter who he is, he would have to be Neo in the Matrix to sit there and get downloaded. I know American wrestling. That would be Peyton Talbot if he fucking can beat Felipe Lima. And I'm telling you, Felipe Lima is Alex. He's 100% man. He is going to go in there from the Amazon. He's going to Pereira this dude. He's going to Alex Pereira. Yeah. It's going to be Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya, but not the one where Izzy wins. We're not on that timeline. I've examined all the timelines, and we're not on that one.
All right. Well, Looks like we're head-to-head yet again. Next up, I'm very interested on your opinion in this one. Beneil Dariush versus Renato Moicano. Now, we've all been high on Renato Moicano around here, but how do you feel this fight goes?
Well, here's what I'll say. I think you're getting better odds on him than you were the first time around. No? What were the odds on him in his first scheduled bout against Beneil? See if you can look that up for me while I'm going through this. But Renato fought 5 months ago, and apparently he had a collarbone injury. Now, those heal fairly quickly, and you can fight through them. And I don't think Beneil poses as much of a threat to the collarbone area as Islam Makhachev, whose best submission is the Darce choke, his own modified version of it. And that directly impinges that area. So I don't think that it was so much the pressure of the choke, but the issue with his shoulders and collarbone. Is 5 months enough time for him to situate that? It wasn't enough time for Sean to situate his hips, right? I mean, that was hindsight 2020. Obviously, Sugar Sean can't return that quick off of surgery. That's crazy. He can't return and improve. No way. You know what I mean? So I personally just kind of thought that the way Sean fought in the first fight with the hurt hip, he defended enough of the takedowns and kept it standing enough to only lose by 1 round and would be able to make up the deficit just off of the skills he had already built to the time and Merab's tendency to take guys down and let them up. And I figured Sugar Sean, with all that time on the feet, would be able to connect. Now, my thing with this one is you got Beneil coming off a 1 and 6 month layoff where Renato has strung up fucking 4 fights in the time that Beneil has been laid off. At 36 years old, hey, so is Moicano. Is this the point where it's really similar to that fight with that we talked about earlier with Hermanson and Rodriguez, where, okay, if Moicano was a lot younger, we're talking, but they're the same age, and we just saw that Moicano went into his last fight injured, and we just saw the injury affected it, and we just saw that it's only been 5 months. So how am I to be confident picking a guy who, yes, has been active, but he's the same age as his opponent who has been rested? And at this age, at this weight class,
rest versus rust.
I almost want to go with the rest versus the rust. And the Super Bowl hangover. You got to think, Moicano got paid $1 million to do that, and Bitcoin's up. It's up, all-time high. So he's got a lot of money. Remember why he was winning earlier? I cannot afford to lose. He's money Moicano, but his whole purpose has now been satisfied. I love Moicano. The first time that this fight was scheduled, I thought it was going to be a walk in the motherfucking park, and now you're getting him, I think, at better odds. What would change my opinion now?
Yeah, it's.
I'm going with Moicano, but keep in mind everything I just said, guys, because it's real. It's not. I'm going with Moicano because all of that aside, it's still a percentage game, and maybe the percentages, when you examine it with a microscope, favor Dariush. And maybe that makes him at plus 120 or whatever he is on whatever book a smarter bet, right? But smart bets lose all the fucking time. And Donald Trump was not the fucking favorite to win the election against Hillary. He won and people will say, well, yeah, I mean, it was a 54% Hillary, 40. This is one of the 46% of times where he won. You know what I mean? We only do the election every 4 years. If we ran this shit 100 times, then the stats would probably line up. But we didn't say you had 0% chance. So that's the thing. The line's closer than it was last time. If you liked Moicano last time, what's changed? For me, it's the knowledge of the shoulder injury. For me, it's the 5 month turnaround. For me, it's the fact that he is 36, so is his opponent, who is well rested. I mean, they're the same age almost today. And they line up similarly with height and reach, and they both have fought excellent competition. Things are pretty equal in this fight, and I'll be honest, Beneil Dariush can probably take Moicano down and do it twice, and that's all it would take for one fight. So I'm going to go with Moicano, but it is a blur. When I close my eyes and think about who's going to win, it is kind of a blur at this point. I think I'm more nervous than the first time around, even though they're going to be better odds.
Yeah, my heart's telling me Moicano. My mind says Beneil Dariush has good wrestling, and cracks, hits super hard. Moicano gets hit. Moicano gets cracked in his fights. Usually he survives that adversity. Somebody makes a mistake and he capitalizes. You know, I think a lot's being made of the shoulder injury. I'm pretty sure he's had that shoulder injury for quite some time. And it's just like weird looking or something like that. I'm pretty sure he had it for the Benoit Saint Denis fight as well. Or got it in that fight. But I'm going to go with Moicano.
Okay,
Alex,
hold on. Renato Moicano fought with a shoulder injury during his fight with BSD. He revealed after he had a broken clavicle, and he'd been dealing with it 3 weeks prior to the event. Despite the injury, he dominated it. It was significant enough that he had a visible bump on his shoulder during the fight. And he mentioned he wasn't at 100%, but he chose not to withdraw. Yahoo Sports, BBC, BEIN Sports. Okay, so I want to see fixed. Well, yeah, I mean, he had it before the BSD fight, apparently. So,
yeah, I think it's kind of been like, I think he had a shoulder like I feel like his shoulder's always looking like protruding out of his body, but maybe that was just the last two fights and that's why it's like stuck in my memory. I'm gonna hold my nose and take Renato Moicano. Like you said, if I was gonna take him last time at worse odds, why wouldn't I take him now? Besides the fact that Beneil Dariush hits hard, but Renato Moicano gets hit, and Beneil Dariush has good takedowns, good takedown defense. I still want to go with Moicano here because I think Beneil Dariush is kind of like a similar size, frame, style as BSD, and we saw Renato Moicano get it done there. So give me Renato Moicano.
Pile Dijon, I'll get to your comment about Ilya versus Charles soon. We're not there yet, but you're going to take Beneil Dariush?
No, I'm taking Renato Moicano.
Okay.
Don't love it, though.
I am worried about the shoulder injury. I will say that. Next, we got Brandon Royval versus Joshua Van, baby. What do you think about this one, Alex?
Yeah, love Joshua Van, but just think this might be a little too much, a little too quick, short notice. Sure, it's short notice for Brandon Royval as well, but Royval is much bigger than Joshua Van, and he's going to be able to impose his will. Joshua Van's not very good at wrestling. I think Brandon Royval will be able to expose that. Brandon Royval, although he isn't known as his number one threat being the wrestling, I think that he can take it there and win this fight. It's so funny because I was just listening to Mighty and the Guru and from a couple weeks back, and it was before this fight was even booked. And Guru said, yeah, but if you get somebody like Brandon Royval, like he's huge for the weight class. Like Josh Van is a little undersized for the weight class, and the dimensions are not going to favor him in like a striking match against Brandon Royval. Just randomly, I'm pretty sure this was before this fight was announced. I think it was still Manel Kape at the time because Joshua Van had just fought on that Sugar Sean O'Malley card. Just weird coincidence, but I'm going with Brandon Royval. I think that he is going to be able to really pile on with takedown attempts, keep Joshua Van guessing, and even get some striking damage of his own. Just a little too much, a little too quick, and Brandon Royval is a big, raw dog. Think he gets it done.
Yeah, 4 inches of height, 3 inches of reach, all but 9 years of age while still being only 32. Yeah, man, it's real tough. I just got to say what I feel, which is Josh Van. For some reason, I'm magnetically being pulled to Josh Van.
Okay.
So I'm just going to go with that. But I hear you, and I agree with you, and I want to be convinced, but I can't rob the audience of what I'm just feeling. Half of what I do, half of where I go on the show is off of just feeling. It's not off of... But could I see Van in a try? Here's what I could see happening in one universe is Royval just sticking him with the jab, and DC or whoever's commentating is like, Josh Van will only go up from here. Josh Van is so tough. He will only go up from here. Like Alex said, it's just a little too much too soon. But I expect great things from Josh Van. He is demonstrating amazing toughness. Brandon Royval is just game, and he has had that championship experience with Pantoja, and he's had that championship. He is fighting in main events. He's been here for a while. He's used to these bright lights, and Brandon Royval is really hitting his stride. But Joshua Van has nothing to hang his head over. He performed. That's what they're going to be saying.
Yep.
In one universe.
That's the universe that we're in right now. Isn't Royval coming off of a concussion?
Now, let me ask you this, Alex. It was originally going to be Manel Kape. Do you think that Manel Kape would have beat Brandon Royval?
I was going to ask you the same thing. I don't necessarily think Manel
I'd be
Kape.
nervous because Kape's a moment winner and Royval's a minute winner.
Yeah.
And I'd be nervous that a 3-round fight would slip away. But I think they were originally scheduled to be a main event.
Interesting.
I'm not sure. But
I think that Royval beats Manel Kape as well. I think Royval is really good. Yeah, I think they were supposed to be a main event, and then they got rescheduled because Royval had an injury in March. Now they both did the pull-out game.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, Royval looks like canceled bout. Yeah, they were supposed to be Kape. Well, yeah, that became Kape versus Amabayev.
Mm-hmm.
And he beat the fuck out of Amabayev, and he would have beat the fuck out of Brandon Royval, I'll tell you that much. And I think I'm getting in the van.
Get in the van. I'm
Super
jealous.
Bowl and you know what? I might be wrong about Moicano, too, for the exact same reason. It's just Royval, Moicano. They're dealing with what is called a Super Bowl hangover. They're dealing with having gotten biggest opportunities of their lives, making the most money of their lives, fighting for world titles, and now they really have to climb that mountain again. And that is the only thing Moicano has going for him is that Beneil Dariush, he's even further from the mountain. But Josh Van is like looking at this like, man, I hit the rainbow accelerator road in Mario Kart. I am I bounce off Brandon Royval, and I'm in the mix for a title shot. Manel Kape's hard to work with, apparently. You know what I mean? Now I'm here. Like, Kape doesn't fight long enough, and then no one cares about this division enough for them not to just slide Van in for the next title shot if he beats Royval. Why do you think they're putting him on the exact same card as the champions? Because they want to keep their schedules aligned, and they want to get a look at them both in the same night, and they want to get a potential for a call out and potential for interviews and scuffles and whatnot. They would love Van to fight Kai France. They would love Van to fight Pantoja. They wouldn't love Royval to fight Pantoja again. They wouldn't love him to fight Kai France again. This is never waste a tragedy. We're getting Van in the mix now. Royval is fucked. All right. Alexander Pantoja, Kai France.
The puppet.
The Muppet, the Puppet, the Great Cornholio, the pull-out concussion boy, but still show up to watch. I despise Kai France. I really don't like Kai France, and he's 5'4". I would tower over him. He weighs 125. I just weighed myself 177. I would smush Kai France. I would absorb Kai France. I don't like Kai France. It killed me to see him knock out Steve Verseg. I personally see more value in Kai Kara than Pantoja. I got to get my laptop charger, break this fight down. Alex, I'll be right back.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's been a whole Aussie wave where these guys have been defending takedowns, battering people on the feet. And, you know, I was getting convinced a little bit earlier listening to, I think, DC and Chael, maybe it was. But I got to go with Pantoja here. He's just too good. He's really one of the most dominant champs in the UFC right now. I really like Kai France, I guess, could knock him out, and that there is potential in that. Kai France is one of these rare 125ers who has some pretty significant power. And And, that city kickboxing team works with Craig Jones, who has been really, really good at getting these guys ready for grappling and setting them up with some really good grappling defense. I think that's Pantoja's path to victory here. I'm going with Pantoja, but it really depends on how much the little Muppet was working with Craig Jones, because I think Kai France could win this fight if it turns into a kickboxing match. And those guys have been super good at stuffing takedowns, keeping the fight on the feet, and really imposing their will on their opponents. But I'm going with Pantoja. He hasn't given me any reason to doubt him, and Kai France hasn't necessarily given me the best reason to support him. He has some losses to some grapplers in the past, and I think that'll happen again with Pantoja.
My thing is, I thought Pantoja lost to Steve Erceg, and Kai France beat Steve Erceg pretty handedly. And I think he's charged up. He's ready for his moment. He's one of the last guys on his team. Well, he's definitely not one of the last guys on the team. There's been so many guys from his team, from
Shane Young
to the other guy, Brad Riddell, who've never tasted this level of spotlight. But I think that he's kind of been waiting in the wing and is probably going to get the win here. Pantoja, I thought Steve Erceg beat him. It was a close fight. I just don't see him smothering Kai for 5 rounds. I mean, Kai is going to come in great shape. He's slippery. He's a slippery little devil. I just don't see him getting absolutely – he's just too quick and too slippery to hold down like that, I think, So I'm going to go with Kai France reluctantly. I mean, I can't stand the guy, but I'm going to pick him.
That's big of you. It's really big of you.
Huge of me. It's huge of me. And I'll bet on him. Because he's plus 200 underdog.
And, now that I'm just gambling emotionally, I'm way more inclined. I'm way more inclined to go with the fighter that I want to win rather than the fighter that will win. So take my picks with a little bit of a grain of salt, because now I'm kind of rooting with some intention here. Like, I'm trying to shift the tides. I do want to win the fights, but I do want to win the fights emotionally as well.
For sure. Okay, so next we got the main event of the evening. My favorite fighter. Again, Alex's favorite fighter is everybody's favorite fighter. Charles Oliveira. What a fight! What a matchup! Really surprised. Took me off guard today when I was like, "That's next weekend." I was so happy, so blown away. I think that you put Ilya at the top of all your parlays, and you certainly hedge out on Charles Bronx, because you definitely don't want to be sitting there, not only losing money but unable to enjoy what would be an amazing, inspirational upset, and a fan favorite nonetheless. So I think you want to watch this fight as a fan as much as you can. Personally, for me, I'm gonna go with Ilya Topuria, and I'm gonna go with Ilya Topuria round 1, round 2. I think I'll do Ilya Topuria round 1 and Ilya Topuria round 1, round 2, because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna happen. And he said crazier things, and they've all happened. Okay, Charles Oliveira got dropped in round 1 by Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira got dropped in round 1 by Justin Gaethje. He's been able to come back and get submissions. He will never in a million years submit Ilya Topuria. Ever. It could be the deepest choke. It could be worse than the Tony Ferguson armbar. Ilya is getting out. He is not tapping. Ilya Topuria will come in there. Charles Oliveira will meet him in the center of the cage instantly. The only reason this would take 2 rounds for Ilya is if Charles Oliveira does a whole different game plan that we aren't even used to. But for the most part, I think Charles is going to come in with a fucking flying knee. Ilya is going to oblige him in the chaos. And when the dust settles, Charles is going to be down, and Ilya is going to be the new lightweight champion of the world, 17-0, and hunting down Islam Makhachev.
Yeah, this is a fight where, I know we've said it before and been disappointed in the past. I really do not think this sees a decision regardless of who wins. I think that Ilya Topuria can put Charles Oliveira away, and I think Charles Oliveira can certainly put Ilia Topuria away in a multitude of ways. I don't agree with Luke. I do think Charles Oliveira could get a submission. I do think Charles Oliveira could land some significant strikes on Ilia Topuria. Let us not forget. Ilia Topuria fights lightweight against Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert, really big for lightweight. He's 6'1". Charles Oliveira is 5'10", 74-inch reach. Charles Oliveira is super long, super rangy, doesn't take his foot off the gas. I think that I could see Ilia struggling a bit in this fight. I don't necessarily think it's an open and shut case. But I'm going with Ilia Topuria. I'm going with Ilia Topuria by knockout. Like Luke said, Charles Oliveira gets tagged. He does usually come back in those fights. But I just think Ilia Topuria is much more disciplined and game than Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. Has a lot more discipline to just not chase the finish and get finished himself. I think that Ilia Topuria is a master technician, and he's going to be able to find his range. I do get worried because of that, fight against Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert rocked Ilia Topuria with a head kick in that fight, almost put him away. Ilia got right down on a takedown and got to work, but that's not the best option against Charles.
He's not cutting weight like that anymore.
It was at 155. Jai Herbert. He fought Jai Herbert at 155. It's his only lightweight fight in the UFC. So that's what concerns me, is that dealing with a natural lightweight. And sure, that was like a last-minute thing, so Topuria was probably cutting the entire camp, getting ready for it, and then, just rehydrated sooner. But nonetheless, the only evidence we have of him fighting at lightweight in the UFC, he got rocked by a much less experienced and good fighter than Charles Oliveira, who has similar dimensions as Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira can certainly tag Ilia Topuria. If Jai Herbert tags Ilia Topuria goes in for a takedown, he does that to Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira might capitalize, put him in the Darce choke right away. Charles Oliveira, Luke, I say what you want, but those long arms against like a stockier guy like Ilia Topuria, it's a lot easier to get a Darce choke on a guy who's a bowling ball, like Ilia Topuria is going to be in this fight in comparison to Charles Oliveira. Like I said, I'm going with Ilia Topuria. I'm going with Ilia Topuria by finish, but it needs to be mentioned that this shouldn't be as lopsided as it is. Charles Oliveira is not a dead dog being taken out to pasture here. He is very game, very formidable, and Ilia struggled with lightweights in the past and guys of these dimensions in the past.
So Ilia's first 11 fights, 9 of them were first-round finishes. The only 2 that weren't was the second-round submission he had in his 4th ever fight. And then against Yusuf Salal, actually. It was the only person to take him to a decision in 2020. But his first, 7 wins in a row were all by submission. And then, like I said, so the first round knockout.
Caliber of opponent here, 3-5, 0-0.
Okay, but hold on. I'm not talking about that right now. He was the same record. He was 0-0, 1-0, 2-0. So either way, Ryan Hall was his last first round finish. Jai Herbert, second round finish. Bryce Mitchell, second round finish. Volkanovski, second round finish. Max Holloway, third round finish. With Oliveira, the difference is Makhachev finished Oliveira by submission in round 2. I believe Ilia wants to beat Oliveira better than Islam beat Oliveira. And I think that because Oliveira has the most submissions, what Ilia is going to look to do is drop him, and when he drops him, immediately pounce on a choke. So I think taking him by finish in round 1 or taking him by finish in round 1 or 2 makes the most sense. But I would also look at what Ilia Topuria by submission is, because he could do exactly what Islam did, and his goal could be to do exactly what Islam did, but to do it faster and better and do it in the first round. And if he does that against now 35-10 Charles Oliveira, I think that is the statement he wants to make. So I'm looking at this as it's Ilia's world, and we're all just living in it. Pile Dejan said that his prediction is Ilya has gaps in his game. That right there is wrong. He has no gaps in his game. He's tendency to move straight backwards. He's always moving forward without effective angles or defensive awareness. Okay, so he is called the best boxer in the UFC by Teddy Atlas. He knocked out Volkanovski and Max Holloway in his last 2 fights. Jai Herbert's also an excellent striker at 155, and he knocked him out too. I mean, I don't agree with anything you're saying. He often relies on the same combinations. Again, I mean, they're all the same combinations. They're all the same combinations. It's a left hand and a right hand. You know what I mean? You have 2 things you can use. But Charles, who thrives in chaotic exchanges, Charles also goes down in chaotic exchanges. He went down to Chandler and to Gaethje. Bryce Mitchell, arguably his toughest test. Again, not really that tough of a test. I would say Herbert, in terms of like damage taken, was the only one to ever even really touch him. And then Zalal, but that was, again, a domination. You're welcome. I don't agree with anything you said. I don't think that he has the tools to finish Topuria early. I don't think Topuria will be knocked out. He's Georgian, remember? Marab. They don't get knocked out. And I think Ilya is a better grappler than he is a striker, which is scary to think. So, okay, yeah. So that's why he couldn't knock Bryce out. He fucking dropped his ass and then submitted him. Let's go through our full picks top to bottom and get the fuck out of here. We'll be in the Discord this weekend, everybody. Thank you very much.
Happy retirement to John Jones.
Oh, we didn't even discuss that. Yeah, Well, did you see the police tape that came from February?
Yeah, couldn't have happened to a better guy.
Yep. I mean, look, at the end of the day, hats off to John Jones. Love John Jones. Got a picture of John Jones hanging up right in front of me. We'll see what happens. It's only going to get more exciting from here, I think. I think it's only going to get more exciting from here.
And I think when I come back as a heavyweight, I'll try to do more legally controversial shit.
Let's just hope the clones don't get to him. The attack of the clones is happening, people, and you need to be aware of it.
They're definitely going to clone him. All right. My picks, top to bottom. Ilya
They cloned Larry Fitzgerald into fucking Chandler Jones's dog. That's his brother.
But I'm going to keep him. Ilya Topuria by round 1 finish, possibly submission. Kai Kara-France, Joshua Van, Renato Moicano, Felipe Lima, Gregory Rodriguez, Hyder Emil, Tracy Cortez, Terrence McKinney, Jackson McVeigh, Alvin Hines, and Jacoby Smith. Those are my.
Oh, we just got something changed.
No
Dumas withdrew.
Who withdrew?
Cedric Dumas.
Damn it. Now McVeigh is fighting another hungry newcomer.
Christopher Ewert. El Tanque.
Undefeated Puerto Rican El Tanque. Middleweight, 31
Chilean,
years old. Chilean. Yes, Chilean. Not Puerto Rican. Chilean. He was already scheduled to fight on the Contender Series in August, and now he's being called up. Big mistake. I think big mistake. I think he loses. So I'm sticking with Jackson McVeigh. I think just the timing of it. You were going to fight August 12th. Now you're going to fight this weekend, guys. What on your schedule that you thought you had until August to do are you prepared for today? These are cage fighters. They're not disciplined. They're not.
Most fight camps are 6 weeks. It is not 6 weeks away from his Ultimate Contender Series fight.
We're way far out from that, and I mean, I bet he is training, but at the end of the day,
July is a 5 week month. So we got a significant amount of time until August. So who's to say he's going to be as ready as possible?
I don't think he will be as ready as possible.
Yeah. Some guys stay active.
By the very definition of the word ready and the very definition of the word possible. All right, so yeah, I'm going with Ilya Topuria, Kai Kara-France, Josh Van, Renato Moicano, Felipe Lima, Gregory Rodriguez, Hyder Emil, Tracy Cortez, Terrence McKinney, Jackson McVeigh, Alvin Hines, and Jacoby Smith, an El Clasico 12-fight offering. Join the Patreon, see my open bet sheet so that you can determine how you want to bet. Fade me, follow me, whatever you want to do. He's no
fade me, follow me, spit on me.
He's not even Dumas is not even coming in. He's not even coming in. Join the Patreon. Open bet sheet.
I didn't go through my picks yet.
I know.
Oh, okay.
Just doing a little part of the Patreon in between.
I thought you were ending it.
Leave him hanging.
Okay.
Thank you guys.
All right, Ilya Topuria, Alex Pantoja, Joshua Van, Hanato Moicano, Peyton Talbot.
Wait. You did not pick Joshua Van. You picked Brandon Royval.
I said Brandon Royval.
You said Joshua Van.
Maybe I meant Peyton Talbot. Hold
Was
on.
it a Freudian slip?
Yeah.
Topuria, Pantoja, Royval, Moicano.
Moicano, Talbot, Rodriguez, Hyder Emil, VV, Do You Love Me? Are You Riding? Which is what, a lot of people would be saying to Tracy Cortez. Me, I'm a contrarian. I like VV here. Vladislav Voroshev, McVeigh, Hanata Denise, and Jacoby Smith.
And the double B certified picks, we both agree on minus 1,400 favorite Jacoby Smith. We liked McVeigh against Dumas. We like him still, even though I liked him a lot more against Dumas. So Smith, McVeigh, Hyder Emil, Gregory Rodriguez, Hanato Moicano, and Ilya Topuria. Those are the double P certified picks. We went 8 out of 10 last weekend for you. And this weekend, we have given you 6 picks. 6 picks. I think the first 2, you chop those off. The 4 stable ones, Hyder Emil, Gregory Rodriguez, Hanato Moicano, and Ilya Topuria. But honestly, of those 4, Ilya and G-Rod are the only 2 that I'm fairly confident in. Moicano and Emil, we talked about the landmines that could occur there, but ultimately, sadly, Moicano is the one I'm finding myself least confident in right now, just because of the 5-month turnaround, but with the shoulder injury. But either way, so those are the picks. Thank you guys. Join the Patreon if you want to see those picks listed out nice and neat, and you want to see our open bet sheet. If you feel Van, don't fight it.
I gotta fight the Van.
Boys, we'll see you later. Thank you so much for joining the show, and we'll see you in the Discord this Saturday night, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. Peace.